Hello there, I'm Big Alias, and let's have a rant. I just watched the new Curtis Connor video. This isn't a rant against Curtis Connor. I actually really like the video, and I think he's great. And now I've gone from, ever since I've been posting shorts, I've gone from a 95% male audience to an 80% male audience. So may I say, hello ladies, and hello non-binary folk. Sincerely, you're welcome here. I hope you have a great time. He was talking about Russell Hartley and his rebranding. For anyone who doesn't know who Russell Hartley is, he's one of those like alpha male, red pill, right-wing grifters. And I think it's important, even though like he's rebranded himself as someone who is now like, get that bag, girl, and yeah, be a gold digger, that's a good thing. And people are somehow seeing that as like positive affirmations for women, even though he's not as like red-pilled and alpha bro as he was. I think it's just as if not more important to analyze this guy now. So I'm glad that he came through with the video, and I learned a lot from it too. I did get a little bit worried that Curtis was about to sort of agree with, you know, like using people for money and stuff like that. But ultimately, I think that like his conclusion was a conclusion I would reach if I was talking about a video of the same subject, which is if you're both consenting adults who are like, yes, this is what I want from a relationship, and yes, this is what I want from a relationship. I want it to be transactional. Then there's nothing wrong with that. And I do agree, you know, if you're in a situation where like money is important to me, and someone wanting my money is important to me, then fine, who cares? I know a lot of incels would say, oh, the rich guys are taking all the babes. Homie, you were never on their radar. If you're not rich, you're not on their radar to begin with. I wouldn't worry too much about it. I do think a lot of people assume like that all women are like that, and I don't think that's the case at all. Personally speaking as well, as someone who is sort of recently / not recently single, I've been doing a lot of like analyzing and introspection on what I want and what that makes me. Personally speaking, I look for someone, intellectualism does matter a lot to me. To be honest with you, I do like someone with intellect. I also kind of go for people who are maybe, I don't know, not so desperate to fit in. So therefore, if I'm asking for that in a person, then, and I'm what they want, which I doubt, then, you know, that's fine. What's wrong with that? But I want to draw a line in the sand with this video. This is going to be part 2. So I'm going to start part 2 now. I want you to do something for me. And think about Russell's video. I want you to visualize a big ball of money. Just this big, giant ball of, let's say, $40 trillion in a big ball of money. I want you to think about that. Picture that. That is your country's wealth. That's your country's economy. Your country has an amount of money. No one knows what that money is. It fluctuates far too much. There's no way of tracking it. But you have like a bunch of money in a country. Back in the day, around about, you know, like late 2000s / like 2010s, the rich folk, they were taking like 150 mil, bro. That's a lot of money. 200 million, whoa, $250 million, 50 mil, 25 million. Like they were taking a million. Fast forward to 2025, those same people are taking $250 billion, $200 billion, $75 billion, $50 billion, these astronomical amounts. And meanwhile, while they're doing that big ball of money, and then taking all of these billions and billions and billions out, what I want you to consider is how much of it is left for everyone else. And meanwhile, while more is being taken out by the billionaires, the price of the things that we need and the amount in this allegory, the amount that you need to take, is increasing more and more and more and more year on year. Whereas back in the day, you were like, okay, I'll just take 20k a year and I'll be fine, I'll be able to live. Now it's like, I need 50k or I'll die. And that's how things have changed in terms of the economy. So when I tell you, okay, that the nuclear family in 2025 is a cute idea, but the very notion that every person should be living to that standard is beyond asinine, is moronic, is smooth-brained, brain-rotted, brainless. That is what I mean. I want you to have that image in your head, because the amount that we have left, That chunk that we have left is decreasing by the fucking day, and the number of people is increasing, and the amount that people need to take is increasing, and it's just not working out that way. There is not enough money in that ball for every single person in your country to be taking enough out to be living by the nuclear family standards. And let me tell you this. Let me tell you where the notion of the nuclear family stemmed from, what it means. So the nuclear family, for anyone who doesn't know, sort of originated towards the end of the 80s, the beginning of the 90s, and it refers to a straight family. The parents are straight, I don't know about the kids. Unfortunately, typically white. And you've got the man and the woman, and they're married, and they have anywhere between 2 and 3 kids and a pet. And the man works, the woman stays at home, and the man works in a nuclear factory, a power plant. That's the one, a nuclear power plant. And you may think, wow, that sounds like The Simpsons. And hey, that's because that's what it was based off of. It was very overtly on the nose, based on the nuclear family dynamic. Now, the reason for the nuclear family dynamic being called that, obviously it's because he was working at the nuclear power plant, but the reason for that is because of a boom of nuclear power plants that were happening at the time, because we were discovering new forms of generating energy. And when we did that, all of these nuclear power plants, it's like a gold rush, they all started popping up, and there was a big boom for nuclear power plants. So there were a lot of jobs for men to go out and take those jobs and provide for their family, because they paid very well. They did pay very well, so you were able to sustain these families without the wife working and go off and get your shiny new nuclear power plant job. Now, what really pisses me off, and what really highlights how asinine the notion of everyone living the fucking nuclear family lifestyle with a trad wife at home who's depressed because she's not achieving anything, the reason this bugs me so much is because that's the equivalent of saying in 2064 saying, oh, do you know what, we should all be living by the TikTok influencer lifestyle. That's what we should really be doing, because hey, it was a boom for a reason. Those jobs are gone, they were taken up. You know, they disappear. There's no new boom of a high-paying job that everyone can get. That doesn't exist right now. That's not going on right now. As a matter of fact, what we have is more people, an increase in influx of people, but because we keep fucking telling people to have giant families, and I don't know why we do that, and you end up with more people than you had previously, and less jobs. More people to fill those jobs and less jobs. That's why it always bugs me when people say, when I was your age, I went out and I just got a job. So yeah, because there was no one around. There was no one to compete with. Nowadays, there's a billion people going for a job as a shop assistant at Tesco. God, I need to calm down. I think that the very notion of, you know, not only supporting the nuclear family dynamic and tribe wives and what have you, which is fine, if that's the way, if you like it, fine, that's fine. If that's what you like, okay, it is, you know, historically a fairly strong structure, I suppose. But I have heard a lot of like, and I agree with this, a lot of thesis about like how gay parents are actually more effective than straight parents. And I won't get into that because I'm not that person. I'm not the person to do it, and I don't have nearly enough research. But it's to do with like caring for one another and actually loving for love, etc. But yeah, it's fine if that's what you want. That's okay. But to tell everyone to live by that standard, I just think is completely fucking asinine. And I think it's having a real effect on people, where people, because that's the culture now, and it has been for a few years now, there are people who are just fucking bitter. Oh, they're so pissed off that they haven't got that they haven't been given the white picket fence and the nuclear family, even though there's not enough white picket fences to go around. There aren't enough big houses. There aren't enough houses in the suburbs. Or would you want to build more? There's not enough space for everyone, you know? There's a reason small houses exist, to house people. What, do you want them to just all be empty and only have like these big suburban houses? How the hell are we going to afford that? And yeah, it's just made everyone so like bitter and pissed off that they don't have that. Meet your expectations, and also critical thinking, please. When you see a video like this, just go, oh, but is there enough for everyone? You know, if there's a pizza and there's 20 people, those slices are going to have to be small, or some people just aren't going to get some. That's the way the world works. Please remember that, and don't listen to Russell Hartley or any of these moronic trap wives are the best, and there should only, women should work. Oh, fuck off.
The PlayStation is only $149, and you can also get leading titles.